Hello, all of you celestial savants. My name is Four Extraordinaire, and we have some new breaking news for Stellaris in lieu of the new updates surrounding the free weekend, which I believe was a fairly big success. Stellaris has had tons and tons of players just coming into it, new and old, returning players, and they gave us this short little dev diary to rightfully so, tell us the future of Stellaris, and we have some fairly exciting details. So I just want to get into that, give you a few of my speculations, and then if you guys really like this dev diary coverage and my thoughts, leave a like and subscribe, and we can possibly continue it next Thursday. But greetings. Today I am here to announce some very good news, and this is from Greg Wolf, the game director who replaced Wiz, I believe. Stellaris is not slowing down, but rather picking up the pace. We at PDS Green are very happy, and I believe that's a smaller PDX studio, to announce our new Custodians initiative as well as the new next free update coming sometime after summer, which is a bit far, I have to admit. So the Custodian team, Stellaris as a game, has been very exploratory, and the game has seen a lot of big changes over the years. I want to start by giving some insight into why we've chosen to focus on the initiative. As we've released more expansions, we've had to take longer and longer between each release, as we've needed to spend more time on focusing on quality, making sure each release is as stable as possible, which is kind of funny with hindsight, but making sure each release is as stable as possible. Paradox Development Studio, PDS, also looks very different today versus how it looked just a few years ago. Things take longer, there are more processes in place, and there are a lot more people involved. Because each release is now further apart, it makes it harder for us to address some of the outstanding issues that might be affecting the community between DLC releases. I was just thinking back to the Le Guin update. I know they definitely want a few more processes after some of those big launches that caused spectacular bug patches. I remember waiting for break, but just some quick context. I think they released, it was the biggest disaster, it was after the Utopia update, it was the Megacore update, which added Ecumonopoli and all that stuff with commerce and whatnot after one of their big overhauls. I think it was 2.2. But I think the McGinn update, it just completely broke the game with pop management. It was just, it was brutal. And then they went on break, and it was so bad, I think they had to have like some kind of skeleton crew patch it up. But anyways, it was just, I'm glad those processes are in place and they're waiting for the summer break, because that is just, I'd never want that to happen again. It was just terrible with the lag. But as we've added more content, it's also been harder to polish and maintain all of the amazing existing content that we've added over the years. And this is what really excites me. We want to keep creating new, cool experiences for Stellaris, but we also want to be able to maintain a high quality for the base game itself and for older content. What we have done now is that we've staffed up and split the Stellaris team into two teams that focus on different aspects of the game. One team that we call the Custodians team, which is kind of a skeletal crew, I assume, or at least from what I've read, and it will focus on free updates that we aim to release every 3 months, while the expansion team will focus on creating new content for the game, and I assume he is behind the scenes directing both teams, and they have their individual leads, but that's just speculation on my part. Anyhow, examples of what the Custodians could be working on: tweaking game balance, adding new content to old DLC, which is huge with some packs, like they mentioned, I think, later on, but packs like Plantoids, and I think maybe even more recent DLC like Nemesis, polishing existing content, similar to like adding new content to DLC, bug fixes, performance improvements, AI improvements, multiplayer stability, UI and quality of life improvements, all amazing things. But in general, these two things right here, just going over existing content such as old DLC and just adding new stuff, or just making it more sleek and more accessible. Great, great, great. This does not mean that the game will suddenly be fixed, of course, or done, whatever that means. Together with you, the community, we now have a better opportunity than ever to keep improving the game. In fact, I think working with the community is going to be crucial to really make this work well. We are going to need to improve how we communicate with each other so that we can better understand each other. And I have to say, they, out of like all of the PDX studios, with their open branch testing and everything, I think it's even inspired games like Imperator Rome to go ahead and share updates more openly before they're actually ready for release, like with the beta test branches and everything. I think they've just really been pioneers, the Stellaris team at PDX, just really pushing forward game-changing ideas. And whether or not, some have, of course, not been too successful, but I still think their boldness and the bravery for that team, willing to take possible profit losses just to kind of improve the game and their image. While I don't agree with all of their specific design choices, I really commend their efforts to just really freshen the game up. So, what the Custodians Initiative is not, it is very important that you understand that the Custodians Initiative is no magic bullet or a quick fix. We are in this for the long run, and we hope you are too. We will need to manage our expectations, and small incremental improvements with more regular updates should be our approach. Honoring Stanislaw Lem, or Stanislav Lem. If I have any Polish viewers, please help me with that pronunciation. But the first free update, the Lem update, will be named in honor of the Polish sci-fi author Stanislaw Lem, and I have no idea who he is. The only Polish games I know about are The Witcher, but outside of that, no idea about Stellaris. Anyhow, whose 100th anniversary is being celebrated this year. Stanislav Lem is famous for works such as Stellaris, which has already inspired the Stellaris you know today. The Lem update is currently scheduled for release sometime after summer, so we will have to temper our expectations and wait just a bit, though I hope it's like right out of the gate at the beginning of fall, like August, though Stellaris has been known to take its time, much more than other studios like EU4, but I won't get onto that too much. Anyhow, to set expectations more clearly, the Lem update will be a bit more ambitious and larger in scope compared to what you can come to expect from Custodian updates in the future. The reason is that we've had a longer time to work on it than what is planned for future updates. It's also important to note that as of now, the Lem update is scheduled to be a standalone free update and will not be associated with a paid DLC, and that is going to be great. They can, I guess, tell the head honchos at Paradox that they are already improving paid content as an excuse to deliver larger updates. I'm not too sure how that negotiations work with how much content they decide to go to paid DLC and free content, but again, great to see they're revitalizing older DLC. Not everyone has liked some of these Stellaris content packs like Leviathans and Plantoids. Plantoid specifically, I bought it just because I like the portraits, but some of the mechanics there have just been really, really dull. And by mechanics, I mean, I don't think they had any mechanics at all. It was right when Stellaris came out. I think it was the first content pack. But again, it could at least use some kind of origin update or at least some kind of new ethics or something like that. Some kind of modifier for the poor Plantoids. But the Lem update's planned features, buffing the backlog. We were reviewing some... We're reviewing some old DLC to revitalize them with some new content. I got a bit too excited there. Humanoid Species Pack and Plantoid Species Packs will now feature some new gameplay features. By the way, did anyone say Necrophage hive minds? And that sounds quite terrifying. Selectable Traditions trees. You will no longer be locked to the same 7 tradition trees, but you will instead have 7 slots that can be filled with tradition trees of your choice. The number of tradition trees will be expanded, and previous tradition tree swaps will be broken out into their own trees. And then adaptability of some hive minds specifically and some other very specific play styles have different swap-ins for trees with very little changes, but great to see that there is going to be a lot of variation to tradition. So it's not just the late game, that you can have a ton of variations with different federations and all that kind of customization. You can start right off from the beginning with different, I think, what are they? Traditions is the official name, but with different traditions you can swap and play as much as you like, just with different combos, which is really, really going to be fun and kind of meta for all of the metagamers out there that love just exploiting some of Stellaris' new mechanics. But some new tradition trees will also be added to existing DLCs, which is going to be interesting to see how they divvy that up. But the balance pass, we will be doing a balance pass on some existing gameplay features, systems and features, which is to be expected at this point with all of the just changes. I hope it's not too big, because they've really shaken things up in the past 2 years. And more quality of life improvements, bug fixes, AI improvements. And then we will go more into detail about these features in future dev diaries. But for now, I will leave it at that. We'll be back next week to talk a bit about some thoughts regarding game balance. And this has been a great dev diary. Very, very short, but very, very informative and to the point. And they left us with a little bit of a teaser. Masterful crafters, a penchant for meticulous crafting lies at the heart of the society. Deft appendages and keen sensory organs aid them in creating truly, can't really zoom in on this, but aid them in creating truly wondrous treasures, even in the most basic of trades. And this buffs artisans, creates a new job, and then, I don't know, I don't know if this goes to, it says organs, so it might be some kind of organic modifier, but it's going to show they're adding some new traits, some ethics, and I think maybe this might be some kind of, not a government modifier, but some kind of civic modifier. Anyhow, very, very popular response. Stellaris is definitely one of the more popular games. I think probably the most popular PDX game, so it's great to see more and more in support for the game, and is one of my most played PDX games. I can't wait to get back into the game and just really go and wipe the rust off again. It seems like every major update I play like for 50 hours or so, and then I quit completely, and then come back later to check out the new content. But I just love to see that variability. Great to see that they're adding old content to new DLC. That's definitely a first for Paradox, at least in my experience from the games I've played. And just listening to community feedback, all of this is great news. But whether or not they actually follow through on that remains to be seen. So I have high hopes for the team, and I have high hopes for where this potential Dev Diary series could go. But again, if you guys love the episode, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. But this has been 4 Extraordinaire, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. All right, love you guys. Peace.